What is going on today, guys? My name's Alex, and this is my 4th gen Ram 1500, and today I'm going to be talking about what you guys should be looking out for if you are in the market for a used 4th gen Ram 15. So, like I just said, this is my own truck. It's a 2017 Ram 1500. I've had no issues with it, but I will be as honest as I can with you guys when looking at these trucks, and I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think you guys should be looking for in terms of mechanical options. I'm a mechanic by trade, so that's why I feel like I should focus more on the mechanical side of things, specifically in this video, the powertrain options when looking at potentially buying a used 4th gen Ram 1500. In terms of the 4th gen Ram 1500, we are talking about years from 2009 to 2019. However, you will probably still be able to find 4th gen trucks on dealership lots here in 2020 as brand new trucks. What's important to note is in 2013, there was a huge facelift to the platform. It included some minor styling upgrades, including the bumper, the grille, as well as the headlights had some other options. But most importantly, in my opinion, with the upgrade, was the interior. The interior was completely redone, and with that interior being completely redone, just gives you a lot more options and features. But that's not the point of the video today. What we'll be talking about with that facelift is the mechanical differences, in my opinion, and most importantly, I think, is the 8-speed transmission gets introduced in 2013 and 2014. This completely kind of changes the truck, in my opinion, and I think it is a must-have, but we'll get more into that later. Another mechanical difference is the power steering pump. It used to be belt-driven, and now with the 2013 Plus units, it is an electrically driven. Again, that just kind of all ties in to increasing MPGs, which is what the engineers were really looking to do. I forgot to mention about the new frame that was also introduced in 2013. More stiff yet lighter because of the added high-strength steel. This frame was also used for the debut of Ram's new air suspension that also came out that year. The V6, or I believe it's the 3.6 Pentastar, was completely redesigned in 2013, or for the 2013 model, and apparently is 40% more fuel efficient than the predecessor, which was in those 2009 to 2012 trucks. Here, at least in Canada, the 4.7 V8 was discontinued after 2013. So that is all the differences that I thought were important between the older 4th gen and the newer 4th gen. So keep that in mind when you're looking at potentially buying an older 4th gen, 2009, 2012. Even though they do look very similar, they are different trucks. So in terms of pricing, a 2012 should be priced significantly lower than a 2013 with similar mileage. Even though they're only 1 year apart, there should be a pretty steep price drop off if you're looking at a used 2012 compared to a used 2013. So let's get into the heart of the truck, the engine. And I'm going to get right to it. You want the 5.7 Hemi as your option for the engine. Now I'll get into the other options and why I think they're probably not the best options for you, but first let's take a look at the Hemi, some pros and cons. I made a whole video on the Hemi tick, and I'll probably link it up here, and you guys can check that out if you want. There's also another great video Uncle Tony made about the Hemi tick and what causes it, and potentially how to help avoid it. Just because I have a Hemi in my truck doesn't mean I'm a Hemi fanboy and I'm pushing it. It definitely has its flaws, just like any other engine does, but I think for this platform of truck, it is the best engine option for you. If you fire the engine up and you hear any kind of mechanical tick coming from the engine, run away. These engines are notorious for lifter failures and just eating camshafts, which is no fun. That's about a $5,000 repair bill, and you don't want to walk into that. Another thing which does sound very similar to a lifter tick is an exhaust manifold leak, and again, these engines are notorious for having exhaust manifold studs break, causing leaks at the exhaust manifolds. It sounds very similar to a lifter tick, which just kind of compounds the whole Hemi tick myth and it just doesn't look good on the Hemi. So if you hear any kind of top end noise, any mechanical tick coming from the engine, just walk away. Another thing you can definitely look into is the idle time. You definitely don't want a Hemi that has extended idle times compared to driving times. Like I just mentioned, the video, Uncle Tony's video, he goes into pretty good depth about why you don't want this engine to idle for long periods of time. And he also goes into how high idle engines are more likely to result in lifter failure or that notorious Hemi tick. So always check the idle hours, and if they are pretty high compared to the driving hours, I would caution you guys with buying that truck. So a good way to just check your engine idle time, go towards that truck symbol there, if you can see that, and you just got to scroll through the options. Obviously there's your tire pressures, trans temp. Anyways, I had it on the screen just because I was waiting for it. But yeah, so you can see right there, you can see my idle engine hour time. I will point out 2009, 2010, there were some timing belt issues with those Hemis. I believe the timing belt guide was failing. So if you are looking in those year of trucks, I would definitely look up or talk to the owner about the history of the timing belt if it's ever been done. So just a caution with those earlier year 4th gen Hemis, I know there were some timing belt issues. So the good. When the Hemi is running properly, it has tons of power, 395 foot-pound or 395 horsepower and 405 foot-pounds of torque, as well as being pretty fuel efficient. The newer Hemis with the 2013 plus models with the MDS system hooked up to an 8-speed transmission gets 26 miles per gallon on the highway, or 11 liters per 100K on the highway, which is pretty good, as well as just being super smooth, just great power band. It's a great engine, honestly. And like I said, no engine is flawless, and neither is the Hemi, but I think it is the best option when it comes to this platform of truck. Last thing I will say about the Hemi, and if you guys are still very concerned about the Hemi tick or lifter failures, which as a mechanic I was as well, in 2016 Chrysler updated their lifters. I'm not sure exactly what they updated, whether it was the material they used or the supplier they used for them, but apparently they have been updated in 2016. So if you are very concerned, I would probably look at trucks 2016 older with that lifter update, and hopefully avoid any kind of lifter failure with that update. Let's talk about some other engine options for this platform. There's the V6 3.6 Pentastar, which I talked about briefly earlier. Like I said, with the 2013 plus model years, it's a completely redone V6. I still don't really see the purpose for it unless you are really trying to drop your budget. It seems that trucks with V6s in general just are just go for lower prices. So if you're really trying to lower your budget and still be able to get into one of these trucks, not a bad option. But other than that, I don't know, because if you're really looking for fuel efficiency, at least on the highway, the V6 is only 3 miles per gallon more efficient, apparently, than the Hemi. The Hemi gets 26 miles per gallon on the highway, and the V6 Pentastar gets 29 miles per gallon on the highway, hooked up to the 8-speed as well. Obviously, driving around the city, you may probably see a little bit more mileage difference, but it just doesn't seem like enough fuel economy difference to me. So I would still think that the V8 is a great option for the truck. Unless you are really, like I said, really looking to lower your budget, I probably wouldn't consider the V6. And lastly, the Eco Diesel is an option for these trucks. Now, I'm probably going to make a whole nother video on just that engine, going into some more details on it. And anyways, my opinion, if you are not going to be driving this truck 40 to 50 kilometers a day, don't even consider it. As a diesel mechanic, diesel engines like to run hard and hot. And if you can't get the diesel engine up to proper temperatures it likes to run at, you're going to run into all kinds of issues, especially with an after treatment system on it, which these Eco Diesels do. Now, an after treatment system needs to run hot. It needs to be able to regen. You know, it's a complicated engine, and it needs a little more know-how than just a typical gasoline engine. On paper, the engine does have great fuel economy in the city, which I think what a lot of people are looking for, you know, to have that perfect package of be able to own a pickup truck, but yet have it be fuel efficient. So I think people run into problems with that because they're just driving it, you know, 5-10 kilometers to work every day. And eventually down the road, you're going to run into issues with the EcoDiesel. So long story short, if you are not driving high mileage, I would not consider that engine. But if you do find yourself driving pretty high mileages every day, it's not a bad engine to consider, but I would really do my research on it. You know, understand what a regen is, understand what an after treatment system is, because those are all things that you should really know in order to maintain the engine properly. Last thing under the hood I would look at is the TIPM, or the totally integrated power module. Rams over the years have been known for some electrical issues, and it seems that the 4th gen is no different than the others. So what you want to do is just pop that open. This is where all your fuses are. And if you see all kinds of moisture develop in here, or if you look down in here and you see some green in here, run away. This is a pretty expensive replacement, and once you have corrosion in here, it's just going to go from bad to worse. But just check it, because they have been known to grab some moisture in here and start corroding. So right behind the engine, we have the transmission. And like I alluded to earlier, you want the 8-speed transmission. This 8-speed transmission is built in Germany by a German company called ZF, I believe. And this transmission has been known worldwide for its reliability. ZF supplies companies like BMW, Audi, Rolls-Royce, Toyota, to name a few. And so it's been tested in the real world for a number of years, and it seems to hold up very well. I know earlier, in the early years, in 2013, 2014, there's quite a few software issues, and now that is more on the Dodge side than the actual transmission mechanical reliability. But it does seem like Dodge has worked out those software issues throughout the years, and ever since 2014, there really has been no issues with the transmission. So super reliable, built in Germany, can't go wrong with that. As well, you get 8 gears. So what's that going to do? It's going to make the truck feel lighter, faster. You're always going to be in that power band, and it's just going to completely make the truck feel like a new unit. I have driven one of these trucks with a 6-speed in it, and then when I got into my truck with the 8-speed, it's just a completely different driving feel. My recommendation is to get the 8-speed, and it's one of those things where if you have to increase your budget to get into a truck with an 8-speed, I would really encourage you to do that. I think it's one of the best features with these trucks. And I don't have to mention about Dodge and their transmission issues in the past. So the fact that they have outsourced this transmission to a German company who has proven that this transmission is very reliable, I think is a great feature to have. Now, I feel like some of you guys may be saying that's great, the transmission's built in Germany and outsourced to, you know, exotic dealers like Rolls-Royce, but can this transmission handle, you know, pulling a 10,000 pound trailer? Apparently, this 8-speed, the ZF 8-speed, can handle up to 770 foot-pounds of torque through it. And if you guys were listening, the Hemi outputs 405 foot-pounds of torque. So this transmission should hold up to anything you throw at it. The next mechanical option that you may or may not have heard about is the transfer case. And yes, there are 2 options. I did make a whole video on the 2 options and the pros and cons of each one, if you want to check that out. But basically, you have a clutch pack style transfer case and a traditional or true mechanical locking transfer case. I have the clutch pack transfer case. It's called the Borg-Warner 4444. Nothing wrong with it. And with that, you get the 4x4 auto option. That's why it's a clutch pack. So there can be some slip. Downfalls of the clutch pack transfer case: if you are really looking to take this truck off-road, it is not as capable as the true mechanical locking transfer case. Especially if you're looking to plow snow, you will burn out those clutches so fast. So you really need to know what transfer case is in your truck. And the easiest way to find out is, like I said, if you have the 4x4 auto option, you have the Borg-Warner 4444, which is the clutch pack style transfer case. If you don't have the 4x4 auto option, you have the Borg-Warner 4445 true mechanical locking transfer case. And if you're really looking to go off-road or want to go off-road, I would really try and make sure that you have the stronger transfer case, the true mechanical locking one. And my point exactly, the Rebel and the Outdoorsman only come with the true mechanical locking transfer case, the BW 4445, because it is just a stronger transfer case and it is better off-road. If you are really interested in the differences of those transfer cases, like I said, I made a video and I'll link it down below. And it goes in a little more detail about the two. At the back of the truck, we have the rear differential and the gearing options. If you are looking at a truck that's 4x4, those units came from factory with the 355 gears in them, with a possible option of increasing them to 392s. But something to note here, if you are looking at a two-wheel drive truck, those trucks came standard with the 321 gears, which in my opinion are pretty sluggish. And if you are looking to tow or haul with that two-wheel drive truck, you definitely want to make sure that your truck comes with something else other than the 321 gears, because like I said, those are pretty sluggish, especially if you are actually looking to tow. So just something to note. But like I said, the 4x4s came standard with the 355s. That's what I have in here. I've towed a trailer across the whole country. It was fine. Nothing wrong with it. But if you are looking to tow kind of more on a daily basis, or you're going to be towing heavy, I would try and find a truck with 392s. I think it'll just make your life easier. It'll just make the truck's life easier. Another thing, if you are looking to go off-road, I know the Rebel comes standard with the 392 gears. Again, just more power delivered to the rear end. And if you guys are worried about fuel economy, the difference between the 355 gears and the 392 gears in MPG terms is about 1 to 2. There really isn't that much fuel economy difference between the two. So if you guys are concerned about fuel economy, there really isn't that much difference. So when in doubt, definitely go for the higher gearing, because it's better to have it than not have it. I would be wary if you are looking for a two-wheel drive truck at what the gearing is in the back, because like I said, the 321 gears are a little bit sluggish, and if you are looking to tow, I wouldn't want those in the back. Unfortunately, Dodge or Ram never had a factory option of a true locker in the back, which to me is kind of disappointing. Even the Rebel only has a limited slip in the back. If you are looking for a true locker from factory, you're not going to find it. They didn't make one. But there is a limited slip option. And like I said, if you guys are going off-road or towing pretty consistently, I would definitely want a rear end with limited slip in it. Just going to make your life that much easier. Well, guys, that's my opinions on what you guys should be looking for in terms of powertrain options when looking at a used or potentially new 4th Gen Ram 1500. If you liked the video, make sure to throw me a thumbs up. Just lets me know I'm doing a good job. And maybe even think about subscribing. Like I said, this is my own truck, and I will be continuing to upload videos about this truck. Anyways, enough of me rambling. We will see you on the next video.